This episode of the Party Loaded podcast is proudly sponsored by Audible.com. Check out their awesome catalogue of audiobooks with over 180,000 titles to choose from. And be sure to grab a free audiobook on us and support the show by visiting audibletrial.com/endgame.
Let's party.
Hey, it's time for Party Loaded. It is Tuesday, the 12th of January. My name's Luke Retallick, and we are here to chat about video games because they're fun, they're awesome, and I got three friends here that like them as well, which I'm going to introduce right now. So, returning back from her holiday in Fiji, we have Imogen. How you doing?
Hello, friends.
Are you I don't know. Do you actually get a tan at this time of year? Is that the risk over there?
I got a tan.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm all set for the rest of the season now.
Nice. Someone who would probably tan quite harshly, I imagine, Ollie, but I don't think you are in that
Friends is such a strong word, Luke.
I love you too, man. So you've been putting lamps together today. What were we just even talking about? I've lost track already.
We had just had a conversation that was a mixture between contraception and interior decorating.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I shit you not, audience, that was the actual mix of the conversation.
That's fabulous.
And detailed and in depth, and I learned a lot about everybody.
It was.
Not that sort of depth, nor detail. Before anyone gets the wrong idea.
Oh, good God. I'm putting this right back on track. Speaking of fabulous, we have Jam. How you doing?
Hey, see, I got a nice thing. What did I do right this week?
you didn't start a conversation about contraception and interior decorating. and no, everybody, those topics were not mutually exclusive.
Oh, God. I worry that people will just,
switch off?
Leave the mystery. Leave the mystery. Let them savor the mystery. Let them guess.
Yeah, I'm not even going there. So that's entirely not what this show's about. This show's about video games, and we play a lot of them every week and like to talk about them because it's a kind of cool thing to do on a Tuesday night when some of our favourite services are down for maintenance. It all works out quite well. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So this week we're going to kick off with Memo because she's been away and didn't get to update us last week on what she'd been playing. So you probably got a couple of weeks worth with holiday time sort of factored in as well. So what have you been playing?
A whole bunch of stuff, and I've just realised I wrote down a list of what I've played since the last episode, but not what I played the week before, so it'll come back to me.
The floor is yours.
I started playing Tales of the Borderlands. Mm-hmm. I'm not sold. I'm not going to lie. I have stopped and started episode 1 multiple times, which has never happened to me with the Telltale game. Mm-hmm. I must be close to the end of episode 1, but I'm sticking with it because one of my favourite voice actresses is in it, Laura Bailey. So I'm going to stick with it and see where that goes. I played some Heroes of the Storm, which is almost a given. I've only played sort of once with you guys since I've been back because I've only been back for a couple of days.
We did have a devastating loss the other night, though.
Which one?
Yeah, that's true. There were a few.
Oh, no.
Which one?
Yeah.
Oh, that was really sad. So I had 100% win rate in one map, and that's gone now.
Oh,
no.
no.
No longer have 100%. No, many.
No. Ollie, it's because I wasn't there. Right?
It's really sad. It's, what was it, the Immortals one? If you play Heroes of the Storm, guys, the Immortals map, I previously had 100% win rate on, and usually with the same sort of people, but I don't know what happened.
My
recollection,
sort of
finished the game and everyone went, "Whoa, that was really tough."
My recollection was that you said, "Hey, I've never lost on this map," and I cracked my knuckles and went, "All right, new character time."
that information. Jeez.
I think I said I've never won this, and the two, like, it was Luke. I can't remember who else was on, and someone else was like, "Oh, I've never played this character before." Oh no!
Always a good start.
God damn it! Why? So that was pretty devastating. But other than that, I think we had some good wins. We had some tough wins the other night, which are always satisfying. But you guys are off playing other. I went away for a week, and everyone abandoned Heroes of the Storm. So
That is not true. We were still playing.
I never started it.
No,
Can't
no,
blame me.
that's true. Thanks, Ollie. Thanks for sticking.
See, I'm consistent.
Yeah, good work. I played a very small amount of Crypto the Necrodancer because I was super excited that it was chosen for our monthly game, but I'll leave my information about that until later in the month. And other than that, I have been bashing my head against my computer and playing Undertale, and I want to finish this game. After listening to the episode that I wasn't in last week and about completions, I thought, no, this year I'm going to start with a game completion, and whilst I'm still on holiday, I'm going to finish Undertale. And oh my God, that game is so infuriating for me. It just doesn't, I can't, I'm going to finish it. But
What do you find so angry making about it?
well, I can get the puzzles. So every time there's a puzzle, that's really fun and great, and I really enjoy those. I'm at a part of the game at the moment where I've been added to social media by one of the characters, and so everywhere I'm walking, they're giving me updates, and I can't walk 5 meters without them updating their freaking social media.
But that's part of the wacky humor.
And then on top of that, having to rerun the same parts because against bosses, I'm trying to be pacifist. And because I've been so long as a pacifist, I have no fight power, I have no money, I have no anything. And because I have no money, I have no like potions and things or items to sort of buff me up. And oh man, and at the beginning I made some, choices about killing people that have come to bite me in the ass.
Bad life choices.
Bad life choices. So now I'm trying to do pacifist after previously having killed people, and so now the game is saying, well, I'm going to fight you because you killed my friend at the very beginning of this game. And I'm like, but I'm sorry, I'm a changed person.
Your crimes.
So yeah, I will finish it. I am resolute that I will finish it, but at the moment I messaged you guys this afternoon after trying to do the same boss 4 times. I don't understand. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm out. You can either, as far as I can tell, you can either pay 999 gold or die.
Which boss is it?
Wow.
Buffett, the spider. So she gets free because she didn't, you're too good to buy my cakes. But her cakes were like 999 gold. And I have a feeling I went to the Spider Fair or Spider Bakery or something at the beginning, and I don't know if I bought anything.
Spider
so I think it's
Bake-Off.
something to do with that. I don't know. This game is. I can see why people are loving it because I think it seems very simple. It's very deceptive in that way, but it's so wrapped up in choices and everything. So it's very clever, but infuriating for me currently.
I think maybe we've done ourselves a disservice by coming to it this late, where we're sort of entering into the game at a point where so much is known about it. There's so much, scuttlebutt around online about, how much people have loved it, or some of the, the contrarians who are, hating on it for the sake of it because it's cool and a lot of people like it, so they try and fulfill that side of the argument. So it's almost impossible for us to go in at this point without some sort of expectations, and that's maybe downplayed the enjoyment we might have otherwise had. So,
well, I'm still enjoying it. It's just some of these sort of the pacifist run route that I'm trying to take now is difficult. Some enemies, there is very little option.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the runaway option, you have to jump through that many hoops. The one where the 2 guards and their armor and the way that I won't spoil it, but the way you have to get out of it is absolutely ridiculous. And when I finally figured it out, I thought this is just the most ridiculous and hilarious game. And after you guys get past it, we can talk about it because it's absolutely stupid. Anyway.
Cool.
Anyway. And so yeah, that's what I've been playing. So not a lot because when I've been out of the country, little to no internet access, and even though I had Tales from the Borderlands loaded up on my iPad, there was the whole country to explore outside. So I didn't do that.
Wow. Failed as a nerd. That's okay. I think that's all right.
I'm a life nerd. I went and did life nerds.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, Ollie, what about you? You've been sort of running around buying furniture for a new house and getting a little bit of gaming in?
Yeah, I only got a tiny bit of gaming in. So I played a little bit of GTA Online because I felt like it and I needed to get some mindless violence and racing in. I started playing Crypt of the Necrodancer. I have liked its challenge. It's a very challenging game. The music is freaking awesome. I love the music. Music is great. What else have we played? What was the other one? Oh, yeah. Earlier on today, I linked these lovely chaps to some amazing poker music. That was from a game I've started playing called Viscera Cleanup Detail, which has actually been around for a little while now. I've just sort of caught up with the trends, I guess, of the kids. And yeah, that game is quite fun.
I didn't realize it was a game. I thought you were literally just sending us a what the hell kind of link just to...
Oh, no. The music I sent you was... There's a little radio in-game, and it pumps out really funky tunes, and that's one of the really funky tunes.
Right.
Yeah, we came across that when you guys were over here when we recorded the episode just after Christmas. It was in the Steam sale. It did look very interesting game, but I did not pick it up.
It is. I've played one level only so far, and I liked it enough that I wish I knew about it before I did my monthly game recommendation. Put it that way. I reckon we'd have had a lot of fun with this game.
So I'm getting nothing from the title, so you're going to have to give us some more info. What kind of game is it?
I'm getting an idea from the title, but is it what I'm expecting?
So the title is Viscera Cleanup Detail. So there's viscera, you need to clean it up, and you're the detail that does it. So you have body parts you need to pick up, you need to mop up blood, get rid of barrels and bits and pieces, and clean up the evidence. It's really cool. Okay. And you can die.
Yeah, it was supposed to be you go in after the heroes have gone through and played the video game, and now you've got to go back through the level and clean up after them.
So I played the aftermath of The Thing.
It's a dungeon janitor job sim.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So it's thematic. It's based on actual recognizable scenes. Is it?
I'm going to say yes, because the one I've played is based on The Thing, and the one I've seen is based off Santa killing all of his elves.
Oh, wow.
So most will be immediately recognizable, I have a feeling.
So this is not one for my 6-year-old?
No.
You were previously considering a game called Viscera Cleanup Detail for your 6-year-old until he said the thing about Santa?
Yeah, that's it. That was what concerned me.
Flexible parent.
I can be flexible. I'm not, interior decorating contraception flexible, but
there you draw the line.
No, that's right. That's absolutely right. But I need to know which words and phrases to remove from any search functionality on YouTube because
Viscera is a good one.
Yeah, Viscera seems like a really good one. Yeah.
Add that. Just generally, Viscera, guts, any of that kind of realm.
Yeah.
The entire website called Rotten or the WTF thread on Reddit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
That's not happening, yeah. But if he does a random search for Santa and turns up, this slaughtered, elves in Santa's workshop kind of scene, then that could be a risk.
Maybe slaughter's a word to put in the search thing as well.
Yeah, okay.
I'm typing in Santa workshop to see what comes up, if this game comes up in there. Oh, it doesn't. Damn it.
All right. Good. My job here's done. Responsible parenting, check. Life Chiefs. Funny. No, so did you actually get far into it? Any sort of level of completion? Is it something you can
finished one whole level.
Right.
Finished one whole level. So there's multiple levels you can play through. And I just jumped online with a couple of mates and we just dicked about and cleaned up Arctic research base of a lot of guts and a bit of alien.
Oh,
nice.
Good job, Ollie. Good job.
Yeah, I've been doing more watching of things than playing of things. So, watch The Revenant. Good freaking movie.
Yeah,
good movie.
It does look very intriguing. I don't mind a bit of Leo DiCaprio. He's come of age, I think. A bit.
Don't you?
Well, you know, I wouldn't interior decorate for him, but
Luke's going to get that Switch. Yeah. It is the best D&D Ranger background I've ever watched, so I liked it.
nice.
That is, I have
That's
to say,
interesting.
that's a good note because I was watching something the other day and I thought that would make a good D&D character. I'm like, oh no, I've crossed over.
She's gone full nerd.
I must admit, like in my brief time playing Crypt of the Necrodancer, I was thinking to myself, can I make a puzzle in our ongoing campaign that involves
No,
a
you make
rhythm game?
Puzzle in
Yes.
real life?
Yes.
No.
I will allow
Just
it.
gonna get drunk and stuff.
Load up a level of Dance Central on any console and we'll just dance out.
Well, Jam, you would have to be keen on this because you're playing the Bard currently, so this would be your skill area.
Bring it.
Yeah.
Make it some
Bust out.
Guitar Hero, man. I'll smash it.
If you bust out the DDR map, then that's LARPing, guys. That's different.
Oh, that would
Sorry
be
to our
funny.
audience that LARPs.
Yeah, I'll just crack out a
judge.
challenge game for a particular dungeon room, and basically I open up a set of Twister,
Oh, shit.
and off you go. Oh, that'd be hilarious. Well, what about you, Jam? What have you been playing this week? There's one particular game I know you've been playing a lot of, which I'm very keen to hear a bit about. Yeah.
Yes. So a little bit of HOTS, a little bit of Crypt of the Necrodancer. I'm enjoying it. And I got sucked right back into the secret world. Oh my gosh. A friend of ours picked it up just after New Year's and installed it and was asking questions from some of us who've played before. And then someone thought, oh, okay, well, I'll reinstall and help him run. And then another friend picked it up and suddenly I was reinstalling it. It's such a fun game. I don't know why I stopped playing. It's amazing. You guys should check it out. Oh, join us. One of us.
Is this a correct summarization of the premise? So, from what I understand, with the Secret World, it's basically every mythology and urban legend is true. So, like, Cthulhu is a thing, zombies are a thing.
Well,
Weird,
yeah.
Raven,
It's
spirits are a thing.
modern. It's modern world, and some utterly supernatural shit's gone down all of a sudden. I've only played. I haven't. My main's not particularly experienced, but yeah, it works in a lot of those legend type things, and just straight up, monster, creepy.
It seemed really traditional horror, though. Like, I didn't get the impression that it verged into the cosmic horror, Lovecraft kind of stuff. Am I out of...
From what I've seen, not so much.
Okay.
But I know there are a lot of different areas and there's a lot of expansions. I'm still within the first 3 areas that you explore when you're a noob.
Right. Because it is an MMO, isn't it? Like, it was released a few years ago. Yeah, like 2012 or something like that?
Well, I last played at the end of 2014.
Okay.
So it was a while. It took a while for me to recover my account and grab my characters. One appeared to be corrupted for a bit, but then I got it back. And just learning again how everything functions. But one thing that I absolutely adored about the game, and one reason I'm really excited there are people playing it again, is it has, amongst all the usual quests, investigation missions. And they're amazing. They give you so little information, just the barest obscure hints, and you have to really think about it. You have to know the whole environment of the level and sometimes previous or future levels to know what they're referring to, where to go, what you might be looking for. You actually have to do searches in the internet. You can access the internet in-game or just use it externally. And it's so satisfying doing that without accessing any walkthroughs or any references to the game, but actually using, publicly available knowledge.
So it's the real internet. It's not like an in-game simulation. Yeah.
It's the actual internet.
My question is, because when this first came out, about 2012, I think it was, one of the things that became very apparent with it, and one of the reasons I didn't actually start playing it, is on those investigation missions, when you would Google, like, the mythology of a certain monster that you're trying to investigate, the freaking game walkthrough would be the first thing in your Google search.
It would, but you just become practiced at skipping that.
Yeah,
You can
but
tell
more to the
very
point where,
quickly.
like, the first 2 pages of search results would be that.
I haven't had that experience, but then I haven't done
Okay.
a lot of... I've done all the investigation missions previously in the first area and maybe half in the second, and then I stopped because the friends I was playing with got well ahead of me and always intended to come back and do those missions with me, and we just never got around to it. I actually started saving those missions specifically to work through them with friends because it's so much fun. It's really interesting. It's satisfying. It's challenging. And the satisfaction, it's just amazing when you finally crack it. It's like, yes. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. I love it.
So they've hopefully fixed that a little bit.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, you can tell pretty quickly from what I've seen when they're going to reference the game. It's a site that exists, based on the game's reference of that particular
Secret World Wiki
phenomenon.
Yeah,
so,
it might just be a time thing as well, Ollie. Like now the game's been out for quite some time. Walkthroughs for the game are not necessarily the new hotness in terms of search results. There might be a whole bunch more content that rises to the surface.
For example, one of the things was identifying a particular segment of a song that wasn't directly referenced by a composer that wasn't directly referenced. Okay. So you have like a visual clue too. So you end up doing an image search based on a couple of keywords to bring up a song, and then you search for that particular bar or three. Mm-hmm. And it's just things like that. You've got to, you've got to think about it. You've actually got to use some smarts and some deductive reasoning. You've got to, it can throw things in there to trip you up. Some of the quests will deliberately send you on red herrings because you're not applying yourself and you're just straight up trying to brute force it.
Cool.
So it's really interesting, and I can't wait to get to ones I haven't seen before with our group because it's going to be fun. But even just sitting back on these ones that I'm redoing and watching them work through it and figure it out, it's so entertaining.
Okay. Yeah, because investigations were always touted to me as the strongest feature and the weakest feature, essentially, because of that.
Yeah. Some people love it, some people don't.
Yeah.
I adore it. The other great thing about the game is you build a character, you choose a faction. There are 3 different factions, but your character isn't fixed in any kind of build. You just forever generate points that you can spend in the ability wheel and also associated wheels to start unlocking different skills. And they're all based on the weapon or, say, magic type that you're using. So it's really great because it doesn't lock you in there, and you can just change the way you play dramatically just by shifting the way you've allocated skills.
So there's no real class types, is there?
Oh, there is, but you're not inhibited in any way from pursuing any of them.
Okay, interesting.
Except just through, the sheer need for experience to unlock the bigger and better skills.
So would you say there's sufficient PvE content to allow single player play, or is it really group focused?
No, we're smashing it as a group, but I've revisited my main because she's a bit higher than the rest of them as solo play when they're not on, and you can comfortably find missions and things to do as a single player, and it's a really interesting story. There's cutscenes with little dialogue tidbits that let you get a greater insight into how it's come about, why the world's behaving the way it is, and who might be behind it. Again, I'm still early days, so I don't have a clue. Just got hints and suggestions.
Intrigued enough to try it, but probably after I move.
Yeah, that would be wise.
Well, I have been very impressed that Miss MMO herself, Imogen, has not tried it.
Well, she hasn't been here.
Away.
No, that's true. That's true.
Let me load it up on my iPad.
Dove in deep just after she left.
Yeah.
No, it's
timing.
I don't know.
She's saving herself for her one true love of WoW, though, I think.
Oh, my love of WoW and Sylvanas. I'm sold, and I really don't want to pick up something else just in case I want to play it. Hearing you guys talking about it has made me realize how bad my WoW addiction is, because I don't go, oh, I think that sounds great, I'll go play with those guys. I instantly came home and thought about, oh, maybe I'll just
load up a dungeon, do a quick raid.
Prep a character. Yeah, just ready.
Just one hit.
Just ready for that level 90 boost. Straight to the veins.
Oh,
No,
nice.
I don't know about Secret World. The bits that are holding me back are stuff like Jamie's saying, like she's got a high level character that she can't play because people aren't the same level, and the reason she stopped playing is because people end up racing ahead of her. And those types of games, you do have to love the single player or be happy enough to play single player, because if you don't have the time to jump on when everybody else does and they're all stream ahead, then you do have to invest sort of extra time to sort of catch up and do it. And
That's one of the reasons I'm excited this time around, because I've got 3 characters at 3 different levels. So even if, like tonight, I'm fairly certain they're playing right now while we're recording. I know that I have another character just ahead of them. And also when they're not playing, I'm going to keep working on my main, so she's always ahead. So if they happen to catch up, I can jump right in. But it's pretty good. You can run around with a higher level character helping out the lower levels, and it's still fun.
yeah,
It's interesting, and I love the world design, the way you walk through the level and you don't know it when you're doing it, but little things here and there. Hey, Noodle. A sign here, an object there might be the clue that you need to figure something out later on. Like it might become significant. So you're paying attention to the environment around you. You find a new building that you can actually explore through, and you're looking around at all the bits and pieces thinking, oh, okay, all right, I've got to remember this. You just really start getting absorbed into how they've built the levels and why, because you know it's going to play to something later on. So yeah, I'm having fun.
The puzzle aspects do sound really intriguing, but like, I mean, I guess similar to Immersion, I'm going to hold off because I'm looking at the amount of time sink commitments that I'm likely to make this year to get a few games off my list, and adding that one doesn't seem like a clever thing to do.
I know. I don't know why I did.
I'm looking at my list of games, and then everyone's like, "Let's play Secret World." I'm like, "Hey, I can buy Life."
Yeah.
No, I can't. I do not have time for another MMO in my life.
I am building to my pile of shame. So many unfinished games. It's just getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
I'm having
Jamie,
fun.
you'd be worse than me.
No, but if anyone does want to check this one out, I believe it's free to play, one-time purchase, no ongoing subscription. It's about $30 to pick up. Is that about right?
And then there's expansions. I actually haven't reached the point where I need to pay for stuff yet, so I'm not sure how it works.
Okay, but you can expand the game out later.
There's a lot of expansions, new areas to explore. I think after I've finished in Solomon Island, I get to go explore Egypt.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So yeah, can't wait to see that.
Nice. Well, I started looking at my list of games that I compiled at the end of last year that were still to be done, and I've been focusing pretty heavily on knocking at least one of the bigger ones off my list this last week, and that's Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain. And yeah, like I've revised my opinion on that game a little bit. I really, really liked it before. Now I really, really, really like it, because turns out game's legit. It's really, really good. Oh, yeah. Like I knew it was good before, but I've hit some pretty major story moments that are like designed to hit you at a really emotional level. Actually, it's quite heavy for a Metal Gear game. Actually, more so than I've experienced in any of the previous Metal Gears. And just sort of going into light spoiler territory, so anyone who's going to get up to this, you might want to just tune out for a minute. There is one mission that you play where you're actually sent in. You in the African theater after the first big chunk of the game. You sort of start off in Afghanistan, and you're sort of taking out a whole bunch of Russian soldiers that are contracted out there as private forces operatives. And eventually you sort of have a few big boss encounters, and then move on to Africa. While you're in Africa, you actually get contracted by an unknown to take out. To do a bit of wet work and take out 6 sort of people in like a mine area who apparently are involved with some sort of resistance there, or they have some sort of blood ties to, other people in the area, and they have to be gotten rid of for whoever's employing you for this job. So you get down deep into the mine and you actually find these 6 people, and it turns out they're basically like 8 to 10-year-old kids. And you actually get a moment at the game where you have to make a decision whether you're actually going to carry out the contract or not. Like, you can actually choose. But the way they play it up with like the cutscene and like the actual emotional decision you have to make and the consequences that it can cause in terms of your reputation and the fallout between yourself and this employer and all this other stuff that goes on is actually really full on. It was very, very cool. And there's follow-on missions that sort of build on that element of the narrative as well, where you find other sort of kids that are basically being abused in different sort of circumstances relating to the war and experiments that are being done and that kind of stuff. But it's heavy. It's really, really heavy stuff. Yeah.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it's don't get me wrong, it's awful in terms of the real life stuff. But it's awful, but it's also heroic. Like, you actually, when you make the decision to do the right thing, it gives you that real sort of warm feeling that, hey, I'm actually doing something freaking heroic. I'm not just a character in a game shooting bad guys. I'm actually rescuing kids now. From poverty and real danger in a wartime situation, and it gives you that different level of investment, which I really appreciated in the game and didn't expect. It also
gives you the option to be a horrible person.
Well, I didn't take that option, so I don't know exactly how that plays out. It may not actually let you do what I suspect it was going to, but I don't know. Unless I went back and played it and attempted to do that, I wouldn't know for sure. I could look it up online, but I'm probably not going to do that. But, everything about your character points to you not doing that, really. I think you'd probably be...
Good.
Yeah. You'd really be stretching it if you did that. But, no, I just did not expect it. It caught me by surprise. And I think that games like that surprise you are valuable. When your experience is outside of the realms of what you expect, yet still at a point that really challenges you and entertains you, because it's not boring. It's not, the same old thing that you're used to. Then it's really, really cool. It's not a true open world game, because you do have sort of these, restricted theaters of war that you're operating in, and they're all kind of linked with the way that your missions and your side missions are structured. But it's open world enough that you can actually roam around and go from one to the other without doing it in a lateral manner. You can just sort of, finish a mission and then realize that there's some objectives and side missions nearby, so you can just toddle off to do a couple of those before heading back to your main base. And there is some ridiculousness about the game, like in encountering a main character who becomes one of your supporting buddies a bit later on, that basically is a chick that's all but naked except for a bra, and the reason why is because her body actually feeds itself through photosynthesis, rather. Is pretty,
Such a disappointing character.
Sketchy reasoning at best for full nudity.
Through her skin
yeah, she does.
No, she doesn't. She breathes through it. Yes, that's right.
She takes in water through it and all sorts of weird stuff. Yeah. This is quiet for anyone who hasn't seen pictures of this character. There's elements about it that are cool. There are elements about it that you're sort of sitting there going, yeah. It's
why do we still need to have this?
Totally unnecessary, yeah. But another thing I really like about the game is that the boss fights are freaking hard, but you don't have to take them on in one particular way. Like, it's not just a case of you must kill X enemy to finish this mission. A lot of the boss fights, you can actually finish the mission without actually defeating them. You can just sort of escape, or you can achieve your objective without actually, going in head on, which introduces a different layer of challenge, because you can think your way around a problem instead of just barreling straight through it. So, and I really appreciated that. I think it's really cool. But highly recommend Metal Gear Solid 5. It's up there with one of the best games I've played in recent years, that's for sure. So, bit of Heroes of the Storm as per normal. I'm all back in on Hearthstone. My day job working year has recommenced, which means I'm pretty much in full Hearthstone mode, when I'm transiting from...
Season has started again.
Yeah, to and from work in the morning. Yeah, pretty much. One of these months I'm going to make the attempt to go all in and try and achieve Legend rank. I haven't quite decided whether I'm going to do that this month or next month yet, but it does require a bit of time investment, so I'll need to organise a time where I can sit down for at least a couple of weeks and just smash through a ton of games. But not really enjoying that at the moment. Hearthstone's in that kind of space right now where the last expansion sort of dropped a month or two ago, and the meta as it is has sort of evened itself out a little bit. There's a lot of viable decks at the moment. There's not any sort of stagnant power decks that are kind of dictating the entire scene right now, really, compared to what there has been in the past. So it's still anyone's game in terms of what different character classes you can play and that sort of thing, which is really refreshing, actually. I think the game's probably in the best place it's been for quite a while. But things get shaken up every time there's a big new expansion, and we'll probably see one in the next few months. So that should be exciting, be cool to do that. But the other thing that I just started playing in the last couple of days, actually, is Life is Strange. Which I know, Jamie, you've had a bit of a play with that. Yeah.
I'm curious about this game.
Okay, so I'm going to compare it a bit to the Telltale, episodic narrative games, because I think there's some definite similarities between the two. So Life is Strange is a game all about a young girl by the name of Max who has basically come back to her hometown to study at a high-class, sort of prestigious school for photography. So she's actually sort of come back to learn to be a world-class photographer. There's a very well-known sort of lecturer that she's specifically come back for to learn from. And because it's actually her original hometown from when she was younger, like there's basically a past that she's had there that she's coming back to after being away for quite some time. But there's an incident that happens very early on in the game. Like there's some sort of event that occurs which gives her a special power. And I don't think I'd be spoiling too much by sort of revealing what the power does, because it becomes one of the major game mechanics that kind of drives the whole game. So basically she has the ability to rewind time. And it becomes really intriguing the way that they sort of blend that mechanic into the game functionality, because it serves a narrative purpose, because you can kind of redo some of your choices in terms of your dialogue trees. Like if you say something and it gets a particular reaction and you're like, oh, no, I don't think that actually played out the way I wanted it to, I'll rewind and I'll try that again. But it also becomes quite useful in that you can get information without consequence. So, sometimes to actually, find out a crucial piece of information in games like this, you might actually have to burn a bridge to get it. But this way you can kind of get the info and then you can rewind and not have the collateral damage as a result as well. So it allows you to, actually solve some puzzles by doing that. And that's actually part of the game mechanic too. Like you actually get to see events happen, and then you can kind of rewind and retrospectively set yourself up to be ready for those events so that you can actually, prosper from them. And I'll just give you a very, very basic example of one. And this is a very, very, very basic example. There's a point where you actually have to get a set of tools to perform a task, and the tools that you need are sitting up on top of a washing machine, and you can turn the washing machine on and it sort of vibrates and knocks the tools down so you can actually get to them, but it knocks them down behind a cabinet, and you can't actually get to them unless you have the forethought to slide a bit of cardboard under the cabinet for the tools to fall on so you can drag the cardboard out again. Now obviously you do it the first time, you turn the washing machine on, tools drop down, you can't get to them because you hadn't thought about putting the cardboard in there because you weren't to know what was going to happen. So you just rewind time, push the cardboard under, do the same thing, you get the tools. So those sorts of puzzles are, fairly common throughout the game. But the story is really intriguing. Like the characters are very, sort of American high school drama kind of storylines. Very, very modern in terms of the language and the different character motivations and stereotypes used. But the fact that they haven't gone for what I would consider to be any of the really common tropes, I think is a big appeal for this game. Like the main character appears to be reasonably unremarkable except for the power that she gets, and a lot of what makes her is sort of built up by the other characters that she interacts with throughout the game. So, I mean, what do you think about that, Jamie? You've sort of played a little bit of it. What's your read on it so far from the story perspective?
I really like the way you don't get too much of an advantage in certain points with the time mechanic, because you can get to a crucial juncture and there's two outcomes depending on the choice you make, and you see both of them and they're both difficult.
Yep.
And you say, okay, so you choose perhaps the lesser evil, and you know what you've avoided in the short term, but you don't get any clue as to the long-term potential consequences.
That's true.
So there's still, it's not a open book, which is good. It just gives you that immediacy of, okay, I know how I can do this right now. to get the outcome I need right now. So you're
Have you
still
played The
weighing.
Witcher 3, Jamie?
Only a bit. I'm only about 6 hours in.
Okay. Would you say it reminds you of that, where everything's shades of grey rather than black and white?
Yeah, there are
Okay.
definitely choices like that. There's absolutely 100%. You think, I don't want to make either of those choices, but there aren't any other avenues right now, so I'm going to pick one and see how it plays out.
Well, one thing we should probably mention in regards to the power in this game, though, is that you yourself are unaffected by it. So, you could actually, in terms of where you're spatially positioned as well, you can rewind time and stuff around you sort of moves backwards, but you stay where you are. So that actually in itself can be a physical method of problem solving too. So yeah, there's a bit where you're trying to navigate obstacles that are sort of collapsing around you, and you can literally put yourself ahead of something before it collapses, rewind, and then you're sort of out of danger, as opposed to just knowing that it's going to happen. So
With the power use, is it unlimited or is it a limited
No.
resource?
yeah, it is limited.
There's a little spiral in the top corner of your screen, and it represents the recent past, and it'll have a couple of dots on it for
Events.
significant choices made. And you can fast rewind to the moment you made that choice, or you can slow rewind through and or past it, just to see, in reverse how things have played out, what you might be able to do.
Yeah.
But it does only go back so far. Sometimes that time you can go back is longer than others because, I don't know, I guess
narrative.
just because of, the particular circumstances, but it is
Okay.
limited. So,
The power is limited by the plot.
Well, it's also limited by yourself too, because there's going to be points where
Yeah.
you've made so many choices and you don't want to go back so far because it'd just be a huge
No.
amount of work to get back again.
that would be, that would just mess the game up too much. It would be less enjoyable if it was unlimited.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no, really enjoying it so far. I've only played through the first episode, and I believe there's at least 3 available, possibly the 4th one. Out of 5, I think, are going to be done in total. So I have no idea what kind of schedule there is around the release of the final episode or 2. I'll check that out after I've gotten through these ones, but it's come very highly recommended, so I'm going to play it through. And apparently there's some pretty full-on stuff that happens later on, which I'm looking forward to encountering. There's been no massive shocks so far, apart from, basically getting an ability that allows you to time travel. But
Yeah, there's 5 episodes out at the moment.
Oh, they're all out then. Okay,
I
that's
think it
good.
depends on the platform,
Oh, okay, that could be the case,
possibly. Yeah.
So I'm playing it on PC, so
Yep,
yeah.
all out on PC.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to playing through all of those then. It should be good. But yeah, no, just something different. I'm trying to pepper my my big chunky gameplay experiences, with some smaller bite-sized stuff just to keep me going as well. So otherwise I'd be playing Witcher already, I think. Not quite ready to dig into that commitment.
Into that game as well.
Yep, that's it. All right, well, let's go through some news quickly. So, big stuff in the last week has sort of been, I guess we've had a couple of VR things that have been going on. So, during our last episode, we mentioned that the Oculus Rift pre-orders were just about to take place shortly after we recorded. And, of course, that happened. So, who paid attention to what went on with that?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
watching.
very expensive.
Yeah.
Incredibly expensive.
Did you order it, Ollie? Did you order 2?
I did not.
No. And why would
job,
that be?
'Cause I bought a house.
If you hadn't have bought a house, would you invest?
No, not at that price. And when I say that price, for those, we're in Australia, so the price for us to get this shipped to Australia
Make sure you
is
sit down, people. Yeah.
is $1,100 Australian, which
Bit
I'm
much.
Includes all
sorry,
your
is a
shipping
bit
and your
much.
Australia tax.
yeah,
But for the rest of the world, it has gone up on the Oculus site for $600 US pre-order, not taking into account any extra expense for shipping or packaging, I would guess. But yeah.
There was a bit of annoyance with that, seeing as, well, the Kickstarter kit was around the $300 mark. And for a while before this, they've said, yeah, we're going to try and aim around that ballpark. And $600 is not in the ballpark of 300-ish.
No, didn't
No matter
they
which way
straight
you
out
swing that.
say that they were going to try and
No.
push for the low price to...
They were
No, they
going
said
to
they wanted to keep
yeah.
it around the 300 to 400 mark. And there was actual I think 350 was the number they actually said they were going to try and keep it around.
And that was in the interest of building a market.
Yeah,
because that's what's going to drive. Yeah.
I actually read that article, and they actually say they're aiming to keep it around $350 cost. So maybe they were talking about the cost to them, so they're trying to keep the cost to them down.
Yeah, but that's ambiguously worded then. If that's
and people are tearing it apart and going back on everything they said. $600 and raising their fists.
It's more that the expectations that were in place and built upon were not met in that regard. So don't get me wrong. I think $600 for what it is compared to other VR at the moment is not unreasonable, considering what it actually does. I'm just saying it didn't meet what they prefaced this with.
No, and that $600 mark is only for the US market. I'm assuming Canadian market as well, because the price in Europe is still around, if you convert it to local currency in the to US dollars, it's going to cost them around 800 to 900 US to get it. So it's, and that's the thing. So when you're talking, we're talking the numbers here. We're talking about if you convert it back to the US, then we're talking about over 900 for anyone outside of the United States in US dollars. So not even
which is ridiculous.
Currency, which is absolutely nutso. And I don't know, maybe the price means that they've got it right. I want to hope so. But the thing with all of the VR stuff, and I guess we're going to talk about that later, but stuff with all of this is the investment isn't just the unit. The investment is a computer that can run that, a graphics card with, certain FPS. It's an investment already. So if someone's going to dump an extra $1,000 on top of their existing PC or buy, a dedicated PC for this, you'd be looking at sort of $1,500 or so, I guess,
minimum, for
a bare minimum at the moment. And that's without sort of the NVIDIAs of the world re-releasing all of their stuff in line with VR, which will come with a premium, I have no doubt. And then on top of that, to dump another $1,000 on the actual unit is just insane. And some of these require entire rooms, so you also need to build a new house. So do you have a VR room, Ollie?
I wouldn't go that far, but most of them you can happily play sitting down. Not everyone needs to go out and buy an Omni treadmill.
No, but some of them, their point of difference is the fact that they utilize a sort of a little kind of an environment or a pendant area, and so that's what makes the difference between the Vive or Vive or however you want to say it and the Oculus and the PSVR. So I don't know. The price was a big shock, and in a way, it just kind of went, well, I'm not going to be an early adapter anyway. And to be honest, unless they can fix some things with the visuals for those of us who are bespectacled, then
you're not real people. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Ollie. At least I always get the truth,
No sugarcoating.
But yeah, until they have a VR that they can say to me categorically, you can adjust this depending on, or I can try out something with some decent games and make sure that I don't A, vomit, or B, can't see in 3D, then
burn your eyeballs out.
Yeah. So for those of you who obviously don't know that I wear glasses. I wear glasses because I have a real depth perception issue. I have one eye that just does not come to the party. I can see generally fine, but I do generally sort of punch glasses and miss door handles and on one occasion Hadouken my iPad straight across the room. So the VR world is a little bit out of reach until they can prove to me that that will not be a problem. Because what I've tried to date was not good.
At least you'll only be Hadoukening digital things as opposed to real things.
That's true, but you don't want to play a VR game where you miss something. Like you're holding the bloody handles and then you miss grabbing something.
Well, surely it could recalibrate to your level of unconess.
Well,
that's true.
Yeah, so that's what they're saying. Oh, thanks, Luke. I'm just going to just let it all wash over me. Yeah, whatever. You guys all have your brokenness as well. Thanks very much. But no, I think I'm going to try it. I'm going to rely on people either doing it or, braving the queues at PAX. But at the moment, I'm just not. It's just not something that I would spend anywhere near that amount of money. How much money would it have to have been for you to buy it, Ollie?
For me personally, I would have bought it if I had the disposable income. So if I just had money floating around that I could like, I'm going to spend this. Had they not said 300-ish, I would be 100% okay with this price.
See, I've got a slightly different.
They set the expectation low.
I got a different take on this though, Ollie. Like, I actually think that the games media, by and large, has done us a bit of a disservice here, because we got to this point where a lot of the companies that were developing VR devices, and Oculus, of course, being the big one that's been in the news over the last year or so, have been working on their products and releasing very, very select pieces of information to, create certain expectations with consumers. A lot of the news outlets and games journalists and that sort of thing have been starved for information. So whenever they get any sort of hint at what the pricing is likely to be, even if there's a range given, and I think that Palmer Luckey, the original inventor of the Oculus, during several interviews has given prices of a range anywhere between $350 to $1,500, and he's been quoted out of context by saying anything along the lines of that's for the unit itself, or that's for the unit plus a rig that you'll need to actually play it on. And of course, they're going to print the thing that looks the most exciting and attractive to early adopters, and that's what they go with. And it becomes a big game of Chinese whispers. So I think that the only disservice they've really done themselves is not identifying the way the wind was blowing as a result of that kind of interaction with the media, and maybe stepped in to correct some of the misinformation that was out there. But I don't think they've put out the misinformation themselves. I think it's just a product of the way that the market has gotten excited basically and started.
If you're going to market inconsistently, you're better off not marketing at all.
Yeah.
Like you're better off going, okay, we don't have a price. The price will be whatever it is at launch, rather than it'll be this, or it might be this, or it might be this.
It's almost impossible for them to do that, though, because of the existence of the Kickstarter in the first place, because they've actually got a value assigned to what people will back.
Yeah, but then they can always just go, well, that was the developer kit. Here's the real deal now.
Yeah,
so
exactly right. And
they
the
shot
old
themselves in
adage
the foot a little bit.
Yeah, the old adage of if they come out and said it'll be $800 and made it $600, then we'd all be rejoicing right now. And thank goodness they found a way to save money. Yeah. But yeah, they made a mistake. Oh, maybe they didn't even make a mistake. I do agree. I think a lot of it is assumptions, and I do know that they have. I mean, this has been the hot thing. Everyone wants VR. Everyone wants, the ability to physically move and play games and be involved in it. And
being the first big player out to market as well.
That VR experience in Melbourne is booked out solid for months and months and months and months and months for the reason that everybody wants this. This is sort of everybody's sort of dream end game for a lot of games that are currently released, which is another subject. But
give me my neural input matrix style. That'll be mine.
Yeah, just plug you straight in.
Well, I think it's really interesting that Spielberg is currently filming Ready Player One as well, which is being worked on this year and will possibly be out at the end of 2016, early 2017, which is basically a movie based on a very famous book that is all about a world that exists in VR. So it's going to be a pretty big thing.
Wait for the game of that to come out on Oculus.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming 2017.
Well, if you guys have not read that book, I highly recommend it. It is freaking awesome.
It's also worth noting it actually comes with 2 games.
Yep.
I still think it's overpriced, but it does come with Lucky's Tale, which looks
and
like
an Xbox controller.
Cute little platformer, an Xbox controller, and Eve Valkyrie.
So the complete list is it includes the headset, with the sensor, which is like a standalone thing that you put near your console of choice. It's got the Oculus remote, cables, the Xbox One controller, and the 2 games as well. There are a couple of Oculus-specific controllers which are designed for movement tracking and that sort of thing, which have been delayed till later in the year. So, and they do actually look quite nifty. I'm curious to see them a bit more up close when they release. But yeah, there's a fair bit of stuff there, and they have sort of said that they're basically selling it at cost. Like, I think they're even making a very, very slight loss on that price just for the purpose of establishing the market. And the Xbox.
I don't buy that.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It wouldn't be too dissimilar to the way a lot of the games companies treat the main consoles, because they make their money on the peripherals and the games, and
they're making their money selling it anywhere else but the US. I'm sorry.
Well, that's probably true as well.
They're making a loss somewhere. They're making it up because the cost out of states is just doesn't add up. It's not a straight conversion. There is some fat built in there on top of what it would cost for shipping and everything else. It's just they are making it up. I do not feel sorry for them, and I do not feel like they are taking one for the VR team here. And if I was going to spend, I don't know, I feel more strongly towards the PlayStation VR myself, in terms of what I've read about it, and sort of it was the old Morpheus. I don't know why they changed the name, because Morpheus sounded so cool. But PlayStation VR it is. Yeah, well, it's great for a market like us, but not so great for the entry-level consumer that needs to know, it does what it says on the tin.
Yeah,
exactly. That's true. And this one is the one that I believe, and I may be wrong on this, but this one is adjustable distance, which means for those of us who do have glasses, it means you can wear them, because then you can adjust it out of your face, so you're not either having to play without your glasses or having to shove glasses into your face to fit the other sort of stuff on. All the other ones have sort of, you can adjust it for your head, obviously, because some people have giant heads and some people have tiny heads. But it's also a comfort factor. If it's you have to loosen it so that you can also wear your glasses, then it's going to start sliding around on your face and things like that. So
definitely
sounds like the PlayStation VR has that locked down.
Could be interesting.
And I would be interested to wear one of those, I suspect probably at PAX, and give that a go. I am a little bit unsure about what it will be like. I don't like touching controllers that other people have played with at PAX, so I'm putting something on my face.
Hand sanitizer. You'll be fine. Just use it on the actual
on my
device.
Face. Just spray it in your apple.
Face sanitizer.
Just bring some alcohol wipes with you. You'll be fine.
Just they should come up with sort of a disposable face shield that you can put on your VR.
So what you're saying is you want to look like a one of the dummies they use for resus.
No.
Put a plastic
get one of
face
those mouth shields.
Yeah.
The resus shields.
Well, before we dive too hard into the full VR discussion, I mean, there is a little bit more news in the VR sort of realm. We've also got the HTC Vive pre-orders have now got a date associated with them, so they're going to be available from February 29th. And the HTC Vive, of course, is the Valve or Steam VR as well. They've partnered with Valve.
Is it Vive or Vive?
I call it
Vive because I speak English.
Yeah.
Well, what do they call it?
Hopefully Vive, because that's the only correct answer.
I hope so.
There's a video where they say it.
But there's been a bit of stuff on with VR this week because, of course, the Consumer Electronics Show for 2016 has just happened. So in amongst all of the new smart cars and wearables, and I saw a coffee machine that 3D printed designs on top of coffee foam. That was just weird. There's always some wacky stuff at CES.
Oh, is that what that cat thing came from, with the little cat heads on the foam?
I think so.
I had no idea what that GIF was.
It was whack. It was really weird. But yeah, there's all this fun stuff coming out of that. But I mean, obviously, VR was a pretty heavy theme this year. But it wasn't just your traditional VR sort of devices too. There was a lot of devices doing the rounds which were designed to just be sort of media platforms where you could put a VR-ish like device on you and it's used just for viewing movies or listening to stuff, but in a more immersive kind of way. So a lot of that sort of stuff is the way that wind is blowing nowadays. People are looking for a more immersive experience, which is kind of cool. We'll see how many of them take off.
More immersively listen to something.
I don't know. I've got no idea.
Headphones, people.
Straight into your audio nerve.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Other stuff that happened this week, we also had the Awesome Games Done Quick event, which is a charity event that takes place twice a year.
watching these games.
Oh, it's awesome, isn't it?
Love
Yeah.
them.
So it's basically an event where really, really well-known, mostly retro games have a team of people try and speedrun them. So it's a marathon where basically they raise money for charity. And this particular event raised just over $1.2 million for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. And they've, for 3 years now, they've actually beat $1 million in contributions. It's pretty impressive for a bunch of people speedrunning over Twitch. So, yeah, pretty cool. But did you guys catch any of the footage of any of the games they were playing this year? There's some awesome stuff.
I watched
saw
the
some of
Mario
the Mario
Maker
Maker.
ones.
Yeah. They had a Super Metroid run as well. There's a couple of interesting ones. One, they actually, I don't know if they did this through a hack or something, but they were playing the game on its side. So that was weird. They had a speed run where two guys were actually playing Super Metroid, and each of them were taking half of the same controller. So one person was sort of controlling all of the shooting and that sort of thing, and one person was controlling the movement.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
it was nuts. Really, really cool. I saw a couple of games that I'd never actually seen before, which looked really interesting as far as speed runs go. But there was a new record set for Donkey Kong, like the original Donkey Kong, I think.
No.
Yeah. So I don't think there's a lot of room to move on.
That one's been
that
selling
now.
for ages, though.
Yeah.
Speed or
Points. It was points. Points record. Yeah.
Whoa, that one stood for ages.
Yeah. Apparently, new world record, and I think they're getting to the point now where, like, in terms of the game's limitations, they probably can't push it much further. So
Yeah, well, I thought that I've watched the documentary about the guy who challenged and held the last one. Unless it's the same guy, they basically in the documentary sort of surmised that was the quickest you could do it.
Yeah.
So that's insane.
This isn't the guy that they built the character in that god awful movie Pixels off, is it? That was a whole bunch of world
that
record
character was
holders.
lots of different characters, but yes, it's one of them.
Okay.
The documentary is really good. I'll look it up and I'll send it to you. It's this guy sort of has a Donkey Kong arcade sort of, and suddenly realizes that he's actually incredibly great at it, and so they go through, following him around and him challenging it and what it takes to validate it. Really, really interesting.
Okay.
But but I guess the beginning of the documentary is, he can't do it because, his previously held time is the fastest time, and, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, yada. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always amazed. I love the Awesome Games Done Quick events year on year, because that's when you watch superhumans. Like, these people.
Oh, yeah.
Your reaction times. And some of those Super Mario Maker levels, I'm sorry, but people are the devil. Like,
I'm watching one of them now, and it's the most ridiculous. Like, it puts my
the one with all the peas.
shame.
There's one you have to do a shell jump. I did not know that a shell jump was a real thing. I just thought that was a thing that you kind of occasionally got to do in Mario and high-fived yourself and got really happy about it. Now they've built it into an essential mechanic.
Yeah, it's...
And they're jumping on and off like Yoshi, and that's it's just nuts. I think there's one in the video that's in the link there, Ollie, where the guy, he's jumping on all of the peas, and he's sort of and he's talking at the same time. Like, these people are streaming over Twitch and talking about doing it and that kind of stuff, and he does it first time. I mean,
So
I'm sure
it's just muscle memory at that point. Yeah.
I'm watching one of these levels now, and it's very familiar to me. I think it may be a level I've tried, possibly, and just went, nope, I'm out.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Really cool.
Only 6 months until the next one, so Winter Games Done Quick will be coming up before we know it. So, yeah, be cool. I don't know if they coincide that one with any of the other bigger charities, because that's getting close to Extra Life time, I think. No, actually, that's a bit later in the year, isn't it? Yeah. Well, there you go. So we had a little bit more come out about the success of the Steam Winter Sale. So apparently Valve were saying that the changes that they made to that with regards to, instead of having particular games featured each day on sale and just having basically everything on sale during the entire period, actually meant that they virtually doubled their sales across those games. So very, very successful, which is cool. Yeah,
decision.
I think we all enjoyed the sale format this time around, didn't we? Certainly.
I definitely did. I haven't partaken in previous sales, but I definitely loaded up. Jamie and I had a good sort of hour session just going through, like, oh my God, watch the video for this.
Oh, this one looks really neat.
Yeah, and that's where I found Crypt of the Necrodancer, so you're welcome. And yeah, I was really, really good. I enjoyed it. And there's a lot of commentary out there, like even though they've proven and they've figures coming out there is about the success of this sale. Everyone's going, well, I don't know, having 11 or 13 days to decide. I didn't pick anything up. I'm like, well, a lot of other people did. So
yeah, if you haven't made a decision in that time, then the problem is you, not the sale. Yeah.
You've removed my impulse from making it 13 days, and I did.
exactly.
I did wait until the end, towards the end of the sale. I did sort of go on Steam, look at it, go yes, and then walk away and not purchase anything.
Yeah.
Sort of until that fateful day with Jamie, and when we bought everything. But more power to them. But that means if they do that now, they're saying that means no more flash sales. That means no once-off sales. That means they'll just do a winter sale and a summer sale.
Well, isn't it up to individual sort of games developers to put their own product on sale at different intervals for their own reasons?
Well, Steam will probably push like the one of their comments about the sale was leaked or accidentally posted online or purposely posted online, which was supposed to just go to developers. So,
well, there's various events that prompted as well. I mean, we had a few titles that went on sale across the period of the Game Awards as well. Some of the nominees were on sale.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff is saying that the sale has attributed a lot of its success to some big AAA titles that have been on sale after sale after sale.
Yeah.
So it's sort of got to the point where, okay, well, winter sale, then they're definitely going to go back up. So now let's buy Fallout 4, let's buy GTA 5. Cannot believe GTA 5 is still smashing sales records after being released for so long. More power to it. Great game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It is up to the developers, but I think they probably would sell it to developers and saying, this is our schedule for sales, and of course you can do your own thing, but these are our stats. If you put your game on sale in the winter sale, you're more likely to get traffic and blah blah blah. So it would be in developers' best interests, I suspect, to wait for those big sales or jump on board with the bandwagon with what Steam's offering.
I have buyer's regret. I didn't get enough stuff.
I did not buy a lot.
I just wish there was something similar, and there probably is. I'm new to the Xbone world, but I just wish that there was an equivalent Xbone one, because at the moment I have a long list of Xbox games that I am yet to purchase. So,
yeah, for sure.
That's the only reason that I feel I have no buyer's regret. I picked up some cool games. I picked up Armello in the Steam sale. I'm really looking forward to playing that. That was a game I really wanted to play last year and didn't get a chance. And Tropico 5. So Jamie and I are going to play Tropico 5. That's going to be neat.
That's a cool game.
Yeah. I also picked up Age of Empires 2 because...
Old school.
Doesn't sound like you at all.
No. I think picked up something else. What was it? Oh, yeah, Don't Starve Together, which has been brilliant. So I'm really happy with it. And good news about the winter sale, because hopefully that means they'll continue to push people into those big reductions.
Yep. I think we've got enough to tide ourselves
I'm just
over.
watching in awe these Mario Maker levels right now and just going, I used to feel pretty good about that. I don't anymore.
Oh, don't feel bad, Ollie. These people are superhumans.
These people are ridiculous.
Yeah. All right, well, time's getting on anyway. We should probably move into our main topic of the episode, which of course is VR and 2016, because it's kind of the big thing this year, and emerging technology, and the theme going into what's happening over the next 12 to 18 months, certainly. And we're kind of expanding the discussion a little bit to talk about not just virtual reality, but augmented reality, because it's kind of part of the same, developing, market at the moment. So we talked a little bit about like the Oculus already and what's happened with the pre-orders going up and that kind of thing. But let's dial it back a little bit and sort of just give a baseline of what's happening with VR and some of the models that are out there. And we can kick off with what our experiences are to date, because I think all of us now have experienced VR for ourselves and tried out a couple, at least, of the different things available, haven't we?
Yeah, very little bit.
Yeah, so I guess most of us would have been introduced to the virtual reality through probably one of the early Oculus developers kits. which have been a feature at PAX Australia over the last couple of years. There's been different titles doing the rounds on VR. I know the first one that I actually experienced was a roller coaster simulator, which was very cool and certainly gave me the full immersive feeling of being out of my body and in something that made my stomach drop when it went over a lip. So how about you guys? What were your first VR experiences and sort of how did you find the technology? Agreed or didn't agree with you?
Mine was the exact same one.
Yeah.
I did the roller coaster as well, but mine was at Beta Bar in Melbourne. They had an arcade machine that had it on, which had the added bonus of you had to stand up. You couldn't sit down to do it. And I did end up having to hold on to the sides of this machine just because I wasn't 100% sure that I wasn't moving, imperceptibly to myself. And, of course, was without the glasses. So a couple of the sort of hinky 3D effects came out there. But it was really good. I really liked being able to look sort of left and right. That was sort of, I think was sitting there for about 3 minutes before I realised that I could look left and right. I didn't have to just stay looking directly forward at the screen. So
Ollie did the same one, I think, but the difference when Ollie and I did it is he did it sober.
And I could sit down.
Sober?
Yeah, I was not.
Oh, you are? Oh, that's a bad plan. So you didn't have any motion sickness or anything from it?
No, I was okay. I kind of think I knew what to expect going in, so it was interesting.
I guess the thing that surprised me the most is having been on a lot of roller coasters, you do get that stomach drop feeling where you're like, oh, there I go over. And despite the fact that I wasn't moving, even though the graphics weren't brilliant, they were still convincing enough that my body still felt like I should have that stomach drop feeling.
Yeah, exactly right.
I was still going, oh, and I'm like, no, wait, I'm in a freaking headset. What are you doing, you idiot? Like,
Trying to rationalize it all.
Yeah, exactly. I actually had to rationalize the experience. My body didn't go, whoop, there's a stomach drop. So that pretty much sold me on it. The fact that it could replicate, even with very average graphics, that sort of experience. I was like, no, this is cool. I want this to be a thing.
No, definitely. The other one I think a few of us tried out, and I know Jam certainly did, was there was a game called Dead End Alley, which one of our friends was demoing at PAX, which was basically you're in an alley with a chainsaw fighting off a horde of zombies in VR. So
that was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. That's my only experience to date with VR, but it's quite enjoyable, especially because they had a little plastic chainsaw to hold in your hands to swing around, which you couldn't see, so you probably injure yourself at some point, but it was cute.
It did vibrate, though. That added to the realism. That was kind of cool, yeah. I mean, the game itself was very, very basic. It wasn't particularly, complex at all, but, it was a bit of fun, and I thought it was, a nice, fun demonstration of another way you could get that immersion without going overboard. But I don't... I mean, you wouldn't have picked this up because you didn't, I guess, have a baseline to compare. But I think that the two Oculus headsets that those two examples had were actually a generation of developers' kits apart. So the Dead End Alley one, I believe, was the developers' kit 2, which was a fair bit better than the other one we'd tried out. So that was interesting, seeing how the technology had sort of evolved from that point. But yeah, no, I think that. We all have a bit of an idea of what to expect because we're gamers to begin with. Yeah. And, we've sort of absorbed a fair bit of the information about what's coming out and what sort of games and technology are being developed for these sorts of things. So we've got a bit of an idea. But for people like your average punter who has never really been a computer gamer or been introduced to this kind of technology ever, their first experience would just be, I'd love to feel that again. It would be really cool just to have that fresh... look at putting one of those headsets on for the first time and just absolutely having your jaw drop because you've never experienced anything like it before. So, yeah.
I mean, like I mentioned it before, but the VR zombie hunt kind of laser tag cross that's happening in Melbourne, there's a sort of a big facility out there where it's all VR based, and that's incredibly popular. And I mean, whilst we were at PAX, we thought about trying to book in, but it was just, booked out for days and days and days. I still suspect it's quite busy now, and I don't think that a lot of those, there'll be laser tag players. They won't necessarily be
Yeah. Well, VR has sort of been a thing for a while now. It's kind of been, you know, skirting around the periphery of what's actually possible for us as consumers, as opposed to, you know, working in a lab somewhere or, you know, high up in a tech organization that plays around with this sort of thing, because you're able to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to sort of have it on hand. But the thing that's really changing in 2016 is we're finally getting to the point where consumer level technology is caught up with, you know, what VR needs to actually work in a household as opposed to, you know, at a commercial and sort of corporate level. So we can actually now have a situation where the new generation of, you know, gaming consoles and, you know, household PCs are actually sufficient to, you know, be able to use these devices, and the devices are actually going to be hitting the market at prices which are affordable for, you know, people like us. You know, I say affordable in inverted commas because, you know, whether you can afford it or not, I guess depends on how much you're willing to pay to be an early adopter at this point, because there's still, you know, a bit of time to go before everything's out on the market and some of the prices start to come down. But it's not really that different to when a new generation of consoles come out, in a way, because they often come out quite expensive and there's not a lot of stuff out for them yet, and you play the waiting game and prices come down and availability increases and the range, you know, is better supported. So it's just
is the Oculus PC only when it's this pre-order?
I'm pretty sure the Oculus is Xbox One compatible as well, because it uses the Windows 10 interface. So that was certainly the intent when it was designed. Yep. The computing power, I guess, raises a couple of question marks, though, because especially given the tests that they've been asking the consumers to do about whether their PCs can run it or not. I mean, you start to get a vast difference in performance when it comes to, you know, virtual reality running at 60 to 90 frames per second versus 120, which is kind of the high end that they want it to be running at, so you don't get any stuttering behind your eyes and you know, really degrades your enjoyment of the system performance.
Vomit.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't get that right.
Yeah. I mean, there are some serious barriers to VR when it comes to, you know, that kind of thing. You don't want to wear a headset and feel sick, because that's going to make you not want to play. So, you know, using technology that's advanced enough to give you that experience and not screw it up is kind of important. So, yeah. But I mean, Oculus is certainly, you know, looking at the high end at the moment. But no, there's a bunch of different platforms, and we should probably just go through a few of them. There's two of them that have actually been out for a little while already. Have you all seen the Google Cardboard that
I have
came out last year or so? Yeah. Have you seen it up close or?
No, I've seen footage of people with it. It looks cute.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
some of us have tried it at the office at work.
Oh, really? Yourself or just colleagues?
Yeah, I've tried it out.
And what was your thoughts on it?
Interesting? Question mark? Like, I'm not sure. Like, having tried it and the Oculus dev kits, the Oculus dev kits are strictly better, but this is literally just a piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
As far as affordability goes, yeah, that's about as good as you're going to get.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Entry level.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not anywhere near as flashy or as whiz bang. Wow, words, aneurysms, they happen. And you do need specific apps and whatnot. But yeah, as far as affordability and like, let's see what this VR thingy is, it's completely fine. But I would not be playing games on it, put it that way.
Yeah, it's more just for a taste of the experience more than anything else. Try and get people on board with what VR may be capable of. Fun fact, there was actually an American newspaper, I believe it was the New York Times, although someone may correct me on that, that actually distributed in one of their issues a fold-out sort of kit where you could actually fold out of the newspaper out a Google Cardboard holder to put your phone in. And the whole purpose of them doing that was they're actually trying to show their market what they were going to be able to do with media in the new century. So a bit of a PR stunt for them at the same time. So very, very cool. But because it's very, very attainable technology. I say technology in inverted commas. There's heaps of different versions of the Google Cardboard out. I mean, there's different coloured versions, different shapes, different sizes, but it all achieves the same thing, which is putting I think a Windows compatible phone into that space and running through the apps essentially. So yeah.
I just checked on my phone. I used the Tilt Brush Gallery. Was the one I used.
Nice. So the next one, which is released last year, was the Gear VR, which is a Samsung product. Very, very similar to the Google Cardboard, but a bit more sophisticated in that it's designed to plug a Samsung smartphone into the front of it. So a little bit more integrated with some of the controls on the device. It is plastic, not cardboard. There's a bunch of different models available, but they're all designed to do the same sort of thing. Use your phone, you have apps that you can download. There's a bit of a different lens setup in terms of how you actually look through it into your phone. It's not just having the full sort of smartphone screen right in front of your face. It actually does integrate with it using the headset in a bit more inventive way, but the end result's kind of the same sort of thing. So, but that's kind of been what people have had as one of the first products on the market up to this point, besides the cardboard. So, it would have seen a bit of popularity with some of the early adopters last year. So,
see, now this is where I'll actually defend the Oculus Rift a little bit. So, this thing in Australian retail, I've got the Samsung side up at the moment. It's $158, so essentially $160. And you go, that's really affordable, until you realize you need basically a $500-$600 phone to be able to run it.
Yeah,
still cheaper.
So it works on the assumption.
I'm not arguing that, but it is cheaper. But it's essentially what the Oculus in America. Those prices are not going to be that dissimilar.
Well, no,
and the price
because the
difference isn't
Oculus
actually
assumes that you have a computer. So the Gear VR is targeted at Samsung and to encourage Samsung use. So if I'm looking at getting a phone, if I get the Samsung, I can also use this,
Yeah.
But a lot of people forget the cost of the phone.
Computer. Yeah. Well, Oculus has the cost of the computer. That's why I would argue that it's going to cost you $2,000, not
Well, here's the thing. The Gear VR, you need the computer still as well.
True, but what are the specs required for that computer?
Virtually the same. Well, not virtually the same, but it's very, very similar, because all the phone does all the video stuff in the actual headset, where that's what the Oculus has built in.
It's a screen.
Yeah. And it processes all the image stuff, and the Oculus has that built in, whereas this one, you need your phone to do that. And a lot of people go, okay, cool, I've got a phone already. Yeah, but the cost of that is absorbed by your plan. If you were to go out and buy that phone, that is a $500 or $600 phone. And at that point, you're looking at a $600-$700 setup, which is not dissimilar to the Oculus's price.
True. So I have seen a lot of sort of devs like Perth Game Festival and PAX, etc., using the Gear VR. So maybe it's a good indicator of sort of developer pickup. I don't know, but
much easier for them to get an app.
Not sure what to do with their hands.
Yeah.
That's always the best part about VR, is watching it from the outside.
Yeah.
Like, this is the sort of thing I would pick up to try out. Like, I would happily, because I have a phone that's compatible with it, I will happily throw $160 to try VR out. Like, now that I actually see the price for this, I'm actually probably considering buying one.
Yeah. Well, the next one is the one that Imogen was talking about before, being keen on, the PlayStation VR, previously known as Sony Project Morpheus. So how much do you know about this one, Imogen?
A little bit. I primarily find it interesting because whilst the Vive and the Oculus, and even to an extent the HoloLens, although the HoloLens is getting closer, the information that they're releasing around Morpheus kind of stopped when they stopped calling it Morpheus. They just sort of announced that it's going to be called PlayStation VR and that it'll be coming, but they're not going into or entering a lot of discussions about a lot of detail behind it. And so a lot of the marketing around it is, what we already know the Project Morpheus was heading towards before it became PlayStation VR. So in a way, I like it because I feel like they're considering things a bit more. They're going to release it probably a little bit after the other one, so maybe it'll be a bit of like the Xbox situation where they get that opportunity to release like after the PlayStation launch, so or vice versa. So they kind of are starting to hear the chatter about what the problem is with the Oculus, and they'll be able to pick up on some of that and hopefully work with it. But it sounds different enough to me to make it infinitely more interesting to me than the Oculus. Not over HoloLens, because HoloLens is the shit, but PlayStation VR...
Slight bias.
But PlayStation VR is the one that they're talking about being more adjustable. It's the one that they're saying, from a comfort perspective and motion sickness and things like that they've really worked that out. They're also talking about, obviously this is going to connect to a PlayStation 4, so it's not something that I have to necessarily, I don't own a PlayStation 4, but a lot of people who have it already, they already have all of the equipment. They're not going to have to think about what their video card can do and upgrading this out and the other. They're going to gear it to work with PlayStation 4.
Yeah. Which is why I think that they're actually aiming this at a totally different market.
That they're constrained by the engine that they have in the PlayStation 4. Maybe we'll see a re-release of the PlayStation 4 with a bit of they'll do a special edition PlayStation 4 VR that will come with the headset, which will include a stronger processor. Who knows? So maybe there'll be like a dumbed down version if you just want to buy the VR headset and plug it into your existing console. And then, or there'll be a special release, Uber machine that they release with the VR itself. But this one seems more interesting to me for whatever reason than the Oculus. The Oculus has been dev and has been bespoke and requires me to think a lot about video cards, which is not something I enjoy spending a lot of time doing. So this one seems more interesting to me.
Yeah.
This one definitely seems more consumer. It is the thing you'd see on a shelf in the store, as opposed to you have to go out, spec your computer, you just go, okay, cool, this is what I want, boom, done. Like a Guitar Hero guitar.
Yeah, and that exactly why the way you just described it being packaged with the console, I think is one of the reasons why this will probably be one of the most successful releases in that space in the next year or so. I mean, Sony's got a well-established brand, especially with PlayStation. The console's very, very popular worldwide, particularly in the Asian markets where it just kills the hell out of Xbox. So, packaging those two together. And there was an interesting interview from Palmer Luckey, from Oculus over the last week or so, where he was talking about the difference between the PlayStation VR technology as he understands it compared to Oculus. And while it does look like Oculus is a bit more advanced and a couple of stages along in terms of development and frame rates and the vision aspects of it and that kind of thing, at the end of the day, it's got a much more powerful computer sort of pushing that, as opposed to the PlayStation 4. But they're totally different markets. I mean, you've got people buying a PlayStation VR will be the people who actually have a console in their house already. And the overlap with people having console plus gaming PC, I'd suggest, is a lot smaller than the people who just focus exclusively on having a high-end PC. So,
the Oculus seems to me, it's like... it's going to be the one that you're going to buy if you're, Ollie, for example. Like you have that massive, but I mean, it's going to be more bespoke. You're going to be able to fiddle with it. If you want to do the 120 FPS, you can, or with knowledge, you can gear it down or do whatever you can and find a good fit for it and sort of build the ultimate VR experience. I could do that. Got the knowledge to do that? Do I have the want to be looking at doing this and building all this information? Probably not. I'm probably going to sit safely in the consumer camp, and whether that makes me, lazy or whatever, but it makes more sense to me. I think VR is going to be something that even, it's like motion controller. When you're going to release it, it's got to be on a platform that people already have. They're not going to, Nintendo proved to everybody that motion controllers will not sell a console. But if you already have the console, then you'll invest in the motion control.
That's true. Yeah.
See, this discussion reminds me a lot of the whole just PC versus console gaming in general. PC is the full hobby where you can get your graphics card right, your RAM, all that sort of bits and pieces, whereas console is just use your console, get playing.
Yeah. Which is good. It's almost like the people who go to a a fancy restaurant or takeout place and they see a menu that's got 50 items on it as opposed to 10 items. Some people like to have those decisions made easy for them. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
I want the chicken parma option. Thank you very much. It's easy.
That's exactly right.
Where's my bangers and mash?
Yeah.
And your meal will be there in 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, Imogen fits this perfectly because you just said you're not the sort of consumer that likes to muck around with some of the peripherals like your graphics cards and all that sort of stuff. You just want it out of the box,
if
ready
that was
to play.
true, I would have bought a proper gaming PC and not the laptop I currently own.
Yep, that's fair as well.
That's why it took me over a decade to commit to a gaming PC. Someone else needs to sort that out for me.
Yeah.
I want to be able to just sit down and play what I want to play. So yeah, I'm of the same mindset.
Yeah. And then we've got the HoloLens, which is something that we're all quite excited about. And I think a large portion of that is a certain Minecraft demo that we saw at E3 last year. So, I mean, this is getting into the AR space, so augmented reality, where it's not just about completely immersing yourself in a virtual environment. It's about sort of augmenting, the real world with graphical images that sort of stick out a bit more like your holograms that you see in a lot of movies, a bit of a virtual Jarvis, if you like, or the sort of thing that you see in Minority Report with the different sort of system displays. A lot of Star Trek kind of, technology level stuff here. Really interesting. I guess the first sort of thing we could point to, that started to play around with this kind of technology was, various smartphone apps and the Google Glass as well. That was sort of setting foot into that kind of realm. And the Glass never really took off massively because there was some significant barriers in terms of it being a wearable and being able to use it out in public and
looking like a douche.
Yeah, exactly. Looking like a dick. And
that being said, I saw some cool mods for the Google Glass.
Yeah, I got to play around with it a little while ago, and I really liked it. But it's one of those things that, if you ever see one sitting on someone's face in a social situation, you start wondering if they're actually recording live video footage of you or not. It's a little awkward. So, yeah. I don't think these things are necessarily going to break that wall of, consumer hesitation for a while.
Maybe it'll be good for people with glasses. I could just attach it to my
possibly
glasses and not look so creepy. Yeah. I don't know what it was about Google Glass. It looked ridiculous. And I don't know how, because the idea was so cool. The augmented reality is something I'm well on board with, but it just looks stupid.
Because all the VR headsets look super trendy.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to like walk to your car and go do your grocery shopping wearing the Oculus.
No.
Well, please don't. No. Nobody do that.
I had the amazing mental image of a pizza guy rocking up and just 5 people with headsets just are inside going, sup.
Just wearing it really coolly, like just like sunglasses on the top of your head. You forget you have your Oculus on.
Yeah, they're all just wearing VR. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. The AR stuff, I think, has some really interesting applications to it. But with the HoloLens in particular, we're still a little while off seeing that realised in a consumer sort of format. I mean, there's a release date that they probably have an idea of, but they haven't sort of released much detail about that. It could be as late as 2020 at this point. We just don't know. There's the developers version that's apparently going to be available this year, but they've stated that the cost of that to developers is going to be around $3,000 per unit. So it starts to get pretty scary in terms of what that might mean. They're probably going to have to wait a little while until the tech they're using comes down in price to a point where they can actually offer it to a consumer market. But I think the HoloLens is an example, unlike some of the other VR solutions, particularly PlayStation VR and the Oculus, where you start getting into this territory where you want a bit of room to move around to fully realize the utility of the device. And that actually sort of brings me to one we just skipped over a little bit, as well as the Vive. So the HTC Vive, which is the Steam VR, where Valve has partnered up with HTC. The other main difference between that device and the other VR devices is that this one is actually built to have sensors marking out a space in your environment, which actually tracks your movement as well. So unlike PlayStation VR or the Oculus, you actually do want to have a bit of space in a room set up to use this one properly. So this is where you would actually have like your dedicated VR room or sensors set up in a lounge room with enough room to move outside of your couch and that kind of thing.
Have they said how much room would be required, out of curiosity?
I don't have a figure in front of me. I'm sure they've got it printed somewhere, but it may be adjustable depending on what sort of level of degradation of performance you're willing to accept. Yeah.
Well, I conveniently have a lot of room, so
a lot of the test stuff has been fairly, like, something you would be able to fit in an average sort of bedroom or so.
Okay.
All of the test spaces have been on. Saw some really cool stuff around PAX when they were doing this. I know Mike from Penny Arcade raved about the ability to draw in 3D, and I watched a couple of those videos, and they were amazing. That's really cool. All of them obviously have that capability, but for whatever reason, I see more and more videos of the HTC Vive. I keep calling it Vive. HTC Vive.
It is Vive. I watched a
doing-
video.
Okay, good. Confirmed. But yeah, the drawing in that looks great. Being able to draw in 3D and sort of almost sculpt something looks really, really cool.
You may even be able to play Hearthstone on your Vive. So,
Don't say Hearthstone. Get out.
Peasant.
yeah.
Yeah. No, HoloLens, I'm going to take everything I said about VR back. HoloLens, I will dive in. I will adapt my house. I will stick however many smart dots they need me to stick all over my house. I will do, if that means I can sit at my desk and my wall is my screen.
We'll just rock up one day for a gaming sort of party that she's forgotten about, and Imogen will open the door and she's in full mocap gear.
Yeah.
Hey, and I'll be bringing mine along. I'll be right there with her. I'm very excited.
Nice.
I can't wait to see what
It's
we
got
can do with it.
such amazing potential for special needs and assistance at home.
Communications.
It's just
Porn.
epic. If they can get anywhere.
You say porn.
I did say porn.
Okay.
Oh,
I thought I misheard for a moment. I was like, okay, that's fair.
Well, it may be stating the obvious, but I think that the porn industry is going to be very interested in this kind of technology.
In
by and
all
large.
of them?
We're way all up in, excuse the pun, Oculus Rift. And I know that there's a Valve video out there that was the next video on something that I was watching the other day, which looked fairly dubious. Thanks, YouTube. HoloLens. Well, you go to your other VRs for that, because the mind boggles where that could be taken. But HoloLens, just cool. Just straight out of, like, that's the future. The day that we can go to each other's houses, and maybe it probably will be something similar to the Google Glass. It's still going to have to be wearable in some sense.
Yeah. I think that one of the barriers to entry is kind of removed a little bit with the HoloLens 2, where you're still actually in your real world environment, so that it's less jarring, because you kind of adding to it or augmenting it, as opposed to just replacing it entirely. So,
Okay, here's a question. Because you guys are super excited about the augmented reality and apparently not that excited about VR. Do we know if the HoloLens does VR as well? Or is it purely AR?
I don't think so.
The idea behind it is that it is AR almost exclusively, so that it interacts with your current environment, so you can be walking around your house. Yeah.
AR of that level, though.
Already, so.
Yeah.
I think AR of that level, though, is ultimately a blend of the two. Like, it's not exclusively one or the other. I think it's somewhere in between. So,
Yeah, it's just, AR is cool, but I would like, for me, perfect world scenario would be you have your HoloLens-esque AR device that you can switch between AR and VR.
Yeah, I agree.
That would be perfect world
Have
scenario.
like a flip down visor.
Well, that's exactly what it looks
Well,
like.
wouldn't
It is
it be
actually
that?
more of a visor. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, for me, would be the ideal amalgam. Like, when that starts coming out, then I'll get really excited, because I don't want it to be essentially, which is
turn
what
a whole
it seems
room
to be.
into a game, though, with the HoloLens. If you just have the
Oh, yeah.
right...
And that's
sort of-
fine.
I'm
But
of the
if-
opposite
if I-
mindset. I think I want a device that does AR really well, and then I want a device that does VR really well. I don't think as a cross-compatible platform it'd work because of peripheral issues, and I'm not on board.
Because what I'm basically here, like, here's your PlayStation VR set, here's your Microsoft one, here's your PC third-party one, here's your other PC one, and then you've got your AR one. Essentially, you're having, like, if I want to do VR on my PlayStation, until there's another third-party one which is compatible with a PlayStation and an Xbox, I need two VR sets.
True.
Well, I think the other issue there is the content platforms that you're dealing with too, and what services you've got to distribute software to use on them. So, I mean,
this is me hypothesizing if it becomes just a mainstream peripheral.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we'll see a similar situation to what we've got now, where you'll have platform exclusives, and you'll have things that are done for multiple systems with different controller setups and different interactions, as long as they're not too different. I mean, the gap between AR and VR may be too big of one to bridge for certain things, but I'm sure there'll be various titles that have a separate version made for, say, the Vive or the Oculus versus your PlayStation VR. But the big question I've got at the moment with some of these, and particularly the Oculus will fall into this category too, is how are you actually going to get a lot of the stuff for it? So because Oculus will obviously be competing with the Vive, and the Vive being the Valve supported platform, a lot of the software for that and games and things will be available presumably via Steam. So
brand new Steam Link.
Yeah, exactly. Will the Oculus, be able to incorporate it into that kind of market as well, or is it going to have a different method of digital content distribution? PlayStation VR is set up very, very well by being able to, get PlayStation products in stores that sells PlayStation products, or digitally downloading on their content platform as well. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I think there's a lot to be determined with that now, and I'm kind of one of the big reasons why I'm holding off investing in any of these, aside from the obvious cost, is I actually want to see what the support looks like rather than just the technology itself. So I want to see where the games are coming from and where the range is.
You don't know if this is going to be another Kinect.
No, well, that's right. And I don't think it will be, but...
I hope not.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously investing a lot of effort in this already. I mean, PlayStation has, reportedly 200 titles in the making currently, and there's about 100 or so, Oculus games that are going to be scheduled for release over the next 12 months plus also. So, whether that figure ends up being accurate or not, and how much value there is in there, I think will vary depending on the developer. And we're still a while off seeing, real quality and, some of the boundary pushing stuff that we'll see with software and games in the next few years, just like with the start of any new console generation, really. But by the time that all starts really cranking, I think we'll have a much better idea of where the popular platforms are and where everybody is. And ultimately, you often want to be where the cool kids are, so you kind of wait and see how it shakes up and see where the crowds go. So, yeah.
I'll let the rich cool kids adopt first.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can definitely see this being more popular than motion control, for the simple reason that motion control stuff, you look like a twat.
Mm-hmm.
You just,
come now.
You're dancing
Can you
around.
Not picture us all like 5 people with VR headsets, and then just one person walks into the room. It's going to look ridiculous.
That's fine though, because you can be sitting there comfortably. You don't have to dance around or wave your hand like a magician or whatever. You are just you have that same familiar controller.
It's
but you still have that controller. You still have a keyboard and mouse, as opposed to I'm waving my hand around or a baton.
And with the Vive, it's the same, but the Vive you move around. The Vive is fully out and going, and the Oculus controllers that they're releasing later in the year are movement controllers to free from being tethered.
And HoloLens will let you manipulate things in front of you that no one else can see.
Well, HoloLens at the moment, early models of it have been completely wireless, so that'll give you complete ability to walk around in your environment without any of that tethering at all. So
you'll be circling your 3D drawing, and to an onlooker, you'll look completely ridiculous. But I think that's highly entertaining.
Yeah,
yeah. But here's the thing: motion control with VR or AR is a lot more desirable than motion control by itself on a 2D screen, because it's a 3D motion in a 3D environment as opposed to a 3D motion affecting a 2D environment.
True.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's why I have a feeling now that it will be a lot more popular in that regard. It'll be a lot easier on the uptake.
Yeah. I'm wondering whether VR will be, and this is a bit of a prediction based on popular.
Is he calling it?
Popular literature. Yeah. Well, I'm not saying I'm calling. I'm just going to theorize that this may be something that actually maybe sets the groundwork for the rise once again of the MMO. So, we've seen in recent years the MMO RPG has sort of fallen off in fashion, and World of Warcraft's still ticking along. You know,
Sorry, Mimo.
Not as big as it once was. People dropped off and sort of getting into other sort of genres of gaming now, and we've seen MOBAs pick up and be very, very popular. But when we've got virtual reality and the ability to actually immerse yourself in a virtual world, that might see a situation where, just like in the novel Ready Player One with Oasis, we actually see a possibility where you could fully immerse yourself in a world and live out as a character in that world while you're playing a game.
What's that Bruce Willis movie? Do that. Where they create characters, like avatars themselves. They never leave the house. They create avatars that go out. I can't remember what it's called.
Not sure.
But yeah, it's Second Life.
To the Google.
Yeah.
When Second Life was sort of the first kind of big sort of explosion of this kind of virtual life ideal, and it's definitely going to happen. Surrogates, yeah. It's definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
Because that ideal, it's the image thing. It's the being able to create a persona and going online and oh man, the applications for that, thinking about some of my WoW experiences are just going to be really disturbing and weird.
See, I'm going to go anime nerd here and go, when it becomes to like Sword Art Online level, then I'll get excited.
Yeah, full haptic suits with motion feedback and
well, they've already got the smell-o-vision devices that are coming to market, so you'll be able to like attach a scent sensor to some of your Oculus devices. Yeah.
That being said, if you're in a complete VR environment that you can interact with and you can't smell what should be there, that would be very jarring as far as immersion is concerned.
It'd be nice if you could filter it a bit. Like,
I'm sure
nothing too extremely gross. Yeah,
I'm sure there'll be different settings.
80%.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think the word that we're going to hear a lot more is immersion and immersive. So, this VR headset is great because it's fully immersive. This is going to be partial immersive. We're going to lose VR and AR, and it's going to become the level of immersion. So
as long as it doesn't become a skateboard.
You'll run through an orange field and you get a little puff of orange oil in your face.
Yeah.
No, I'm allergic. No.
Yeah.
Anaphylaxis.
That's going to be amazing.
That's going to be a whole new level.
Or you're in VR and you touch a peanut and you're allergic to peanuts and then you die.
What? So you just have that psychological response that makes you think that you're having a reaction.
So if it's fully immersive,
psychosomatic reaction.
Yeah.
It gives you actual peanut oil.
Yeah.
The controller comes. You have to load it with like a little case that has all of the different substances you're going to touch.
That's right, but by then we'll just have a harness over our chest that can plunge a syringe through our rib cage to bring us out of the anaphylactic shock.
And also to stimulate what it's like to really die and come back to life.
Yeah.
Jesus, that I can avoid.
Well, my biggest fear is I don't want the technology to be an easy way out for actual quality software and game design. No. Well, look, I work in an industry where, one of the big buzzwords is, e-learning and gamification and all that kind of thing. And unfortunately, too many businesses use it as an easy way out of, actually creating genuine, engaging content. They think that the technology does all the work for them without actually having to put some thought into what they're sort of trying to push through it. And that's the concern here too. Like VR on its own does not make for an engaging experience. What you're actually creating on that platform is what creates the engaging experience. You got to think about it and be clever. So, that'll be interesting. So are we all personally excited and, considering buying in at some point in the future? It sounds like we're all interested, but hesitant in terms of the timing and just waiting to see where things land a little bit more.
And the pricing.
I'm going to call it 2018.
2018? Yeah.
That's when I'll adopt VR.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to cave sooner than that, but yeah, we'll see.
I reckon end of the year for me.
Yeah.
Just once the first wave goes out and you get those second wave devices in, then once everything's settled, because you never go first wave. That way madness lies.
Yep, you never go full retard.
Second and third wave is where you want to be.
Mm. Yeah, no, I think I'm probably about on that as well. There will be a point, there'll be one game, I'm sure, which I'll just look at and I'll be like, I need to play this game, and that'll be the way I buy the device.
I need this so badly.
Goat punks.
Yeah.
No, inflatality. Oh, that would be awesome.
Goat Simulator 3D.
If they can make like a Killer Instinct inflatality type fighting game, that'd be cool.
Be cool. Nice. All right, well, I think we could probably wrap it up there. Good chat about VR, guys. There's some real interest to look forward to the rest of the year. And hopefully we can all afford it rather than wasting all our money on the next round of Steam sales. Wait to see how that works. But anywho, you can, of course, leave us feedback on this episode by hitting us up in the usual manner. So send us a email to mail@partyloaded.com. Find us on Twitter @partyloadedshow, or check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/partyloaded. We'd love to hear your feedback, questions, comments. What do you think about VR? Are you going to be an early adopter? Is there a particular device that you're more interested in than others? What sort of stuff do you think is going to come down the pike? So our show and all episodes are available at our main site at partyloaded.com. And that's pretty much it. So check us out. We'll be back again next week with another serving of video game goodness. Any final thoughts before we wrap things up, guys?
No.
I need to download the Secret World, probably.
Go download Secret World.
Woo!
Nice.
One of us.
And there is Cthulhu. I found a Cthulhu picture. I put it in the chat.
Oh, well, you're sold then.
That's the first dungeon.
But it's not Cthulhu because it's spelled with a K.
I don't actually remember the monster's name, but
That's what it had on the image.
Nice. As long as it's not cosmic horror with a K, because that would just be tragic. But anywho, yeah. Cool. All right, well, you go play some tentacle monster games. I'm going to go and, play the role of a teenage photographer. It sounds so weird when I put it like that. Anywho.
Like one of my Japanese anime.
That's it.
We can put the two together. Then we make hentai.
Oh, God.
Good ending.
Until next week, see ya.
Bye.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.